Is my angle good?
No, it's not good at all. Oh, let's start. All right, good. Hey, welcome to Not Another Jets podcast. Does the world need another Jets podcast? My name is Vinny. This is my cousin Gene. Gene, does the world need another Jets podcast?
Well, when you really put some thought into that, actually, you don't even have to. No, I don't think they do.
Okay, that's the end of the podcast. Thanks for being with us. Hey, no, obviously it does not, but that is not stopping us. It's never stopped us. Again, I'm Vinny. This is my cousin Gene. We both well, you lived on Long Island and too. You were like a full adult and you were like
Yes,
adult.
until I was 40.
You were
Until
40.
I was 40.
You're
So
nearly
yeah.
an adult at then. And then, yeah, I left as a
Mhm.
child, but both of us, we took away Jets fandom. That was the disease we left.
You know, it's just like, you know, you try to get out and they pull you back in.
And so why did we start this? Why does the world need this dumb podcast? Because I think there's two kinds of Jets podcasts. I think there's the one Jets podcast where it's all like they just it's just like self-inflicted wounds every time. They're so sad and they're so beaten down. No matter what the Jets do, it's like they should just call it the same old Jets podcast because they just complain, right? And
That is a good name because that's the chant. That's what it is. The same old Jets.
no, not
Yeah.
anymore. We're not going to be that guy. But then there's the other kinds of Jets podcasts, which are those, they're reporters who go over to the team office every Tuesday for donuts. So whatever the Jets do, they love it. It's so great. It's like, they have little statues of Chad Pennington at their house. So they think everything the Jets did. So we're going to try to be more balanced. We're going to be, we're far away from them. They're not going to send us the big guests, right? We're not going to have Al Toon on. Although Al Toon, I'd love to have Al Toon on.
How exciting would that be? I mean, as long as you take some Tylenol, because I know he's still got those blistering headaches, but still, that would be awesome.
Is Al Toon is Al Toon still alive? I guess I should know that before I make an Al Toon.
I think he is, but a couple of years ago, for some reason, he was. uh, I think I must have been listening to the fan WFAN, and they had him on, and they were talking about his concussions. Just
Oh
probably
yeah.
was. As a matter of fact, it was probably close to last year, right after tour, right? So probably what sparked that. But yeah, he's having a hard time with that, which is sad.
It is sad. The great Al Toon. Yeah, let's well see if you can get him on. You have a line right into Al Toon, right?
Yes. Well, I do have an Altoon rookie card signed by Altoon,
Do you
and I don't
really?
collect cards, but I have that. Yes.
Okay, all right. Next time we'll have that. That'll be our big guest, right? Just in yeah, our big guest this week is Nick Folk, who signed my Jets ball.
Okay.
So
Okay.
then you can have Al Toon's autograph come in next week.
Yep. I think that's a nice little target to shoot for. I'm digging it. So you
Let's
know,
get into it. Yeah.
let's get into it. Let's get into it for sure. Um, right out of the gate, the best chant in all of sports.
It's
It,
got to be. It's got to be the Florida
it has to be.
Seminoles team. They might have a little something to say about that, but Jets, 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 Jets.
Let me tell you, I don't care what happens when Fireman Ed gets that going. It's great. It's absolutely great. I get chills.
From Fireman Ed or from the chant?
Oh, we'll go with the chant.
We might have to have a Fireman Ed episode just dedicated to Fireman Ed because I don't know anything about him. I've met him, I've seen him. I don't know anything about him.
No, and a typical Jet fan. At one point, I'm done. He said he's out.
Right.
He's done. He's never coming back. And that lasts until the next game.
That was it. Then next
You
week, all
try,
right, I'm back.
back to the same theme. You try to get out, and it pulls you back in.
Well, let's talk about the Jets because this is a totally different Jets team, and I kind of don't know what to do with myself, to be honest. Who are these guys that are in the uniforms, and what have they done with the New York Jets that we know and love?
Well, as you know, I sent the text, right? Who are we watching?
Am I on the wrong
that was
game?
yeah, and that actually started because we've got Abby, my wife, looks over and goes, "Who are these guys?" So like, I cracked up. I mean, probably was thinking the same thing, but yeah, that's it. Who were we watching? It
Who
was
are
so
these guys?
pleasant.
Exactly.
Who are these guys?
Well, I had a little theme for the podcast. And this will kind of get us into it. There are two things that Coach Saleh have added into the Jets this year that are really new that I think they're going to take off. The first innovation he has brought to is this concept of the offense scoring points. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Very innovative.
Very, very innovative. But let me throw a stat at you because I'm not a big stats guy, but let me throw this stat at you. So in the first 3 weeks this year, there have been 3 offensive touchdowns in each game, first 3 weeks. Okay. It took them until week 11 last year to get 3 offensive touchdowns in a game.
Okay,
Oh,
here's the
yeah.
stat.
Yep, there's a stat. And then okay, so now we're old Jets fans. Do you remember the last time the Jets had 3 offensive touchdowns in the first 3 games?
Well, no, no. Tell me.
All right, I will tell you. 1989, and this was under your pal Ken O'Brien,
All
quarterback,
right.
and the team they went 4-12, and in fact they lost 2 of those first 3 games that they scored 3 touchdowns. So offense is overrated. That's what that proves to me.
I guess you're right. It really is. There's a lot of things overrated if you're a Jets fan, you realize stuff just doesn't really matter. If you got a great chant like that, it really kind of supersedes a lot of things.
Right. Well, hey, look, you know what? For years we were all celebrating first downs, which is another big
Yes.
chant in the stadium. And it's like, well, let's just take what we can get. We'll get a cheer on a first down.
Too funny. So what was the second implementation from our
They're
field
saying,
was
well, you know
leader?
what? But I still want to talk about the first one. Let's keep going. I mean, the
Okay.
offense scored. The offense is scoring points, and Aaron Rodgers, he kind of looked like an old man a little bit the first week, but you know, he looked okay. I mean, he's never. I guess you don't hire Aaron Rodgers to necessarily win a game with his legs and his athleticism. It's sort of his brain and his arm.
Well, I think that's what we saw. I thought at some point I'm like, I think this looks like a video game, right? He was running. You're like, okay, you hit the button and it's a laser beam
Yeah,
pass. I
yeah,
mean, it was fantastic to watch. Something that, again, watching a quarterback complain, like, it was so foreign, right? It
right.
was so foreign to see that it was mesmerizing. And then you say, "Oh my God, you know what? Is this the old Aaron Rodgers?" But then again, the old Aaron Rodgers for us or for me is highlights, right? Okay,
Right.
you only
Right.
see that. But this was an actual full game, and I'm like, it looks like you could plug him in a video game the way he was throwing the ball. He was moving around like he was 15 years younger, right? I mean,
Yeah.
very impressive. I was so pleasantly surprised and glued. That's it. Look at that pass. Every single pass, even the ones that were suspect, still look good.
Yeah.
And
And even
what
when
when
he
I
had
say
to,
the one suspect, and what was it? Two passes that were
right,
were
right.
not
And
on target.
and a couple of times where he had to sort of roll out and get creative, which is really not a necessarily an Aaron Rodgers strong suit, but he was able to pull it off. Now, granted, this is against you know, the against the New England Patriots, who are not exactly the New England Patriots of old. They're a terrible football team, but you still got to win the games you're supposed to win, which is a new concept for the Jets.
Well, 100%. And that's, Aaron Rodgers tried to say something like that. I caught some of the press conference that, great, good teams and great teams. He was making the distinction between the two, right? Good teams, and both are supposed win the games they're supposed to win,
I'll take
right?
good. I'll stick with good.
Yeah, right,
Even
right.
even that, I'm willing to step up to good. That
You
that
know,
that kind of brings me to Coach Saleh. innovation number two, and this is a concept called blocking, and I think it's going to take off. I think it's going to be
He's
big.
found something there.
Well, and I always felt bad because, like, it's sort of Zach Wilson is now sort of a real punching bag all around the league. Sam Darnold, a
Yeah.
big punching bag around the league, and in the cases of both those guys, it was like you'd hike the football and they'd run for their lives, which they
Yeah,
which they never did in college.
right, and unfortunately that's the sad part. I think to me it's almost like okay, you go to the Jets, you just get ready because you're going to ruin your career, right?
Right? Exactly.
And this, how could they develop? It's been said like Zach Wilson. What did he have? Three or four offensive coordinators?
Right. And no offensive lineman.
No, no off. Right. It was basically three Mississippis and you're in.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
You know what? He would have loved to have three Mississippis because he didn't even
you're
get
probably
that.
right. One Mississippi, start running.
Exactly. And yeah, for Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson, who were both great college quarterbacks with great offensive lines, it was like they were back in Pee Wee football,
Mhm.
where it was
Mhm.
just kill
Yeah,
the guy with the ball.
kill the guy with the ball. And I'll tell you, I was rooting. I really wanted to see Zach Wilson excel
Yeah,
this year,
I did
right in
too.
Denver. I was like, you know what? I want to see him light it up. Because he's so athletic. He's got such an arm. It's just unfortunate. Just the brain needs to connect with those pieces of the puzzle, and I think that's probably his issue. Just he's got everything else.
He's just running for his life in a different uniform.
Okay, yeah. And you know what? And it's good to see Sam Donald. He lit it up. And can he sustain that? I don't know, but he looked good. Again, just a couple of highlights here and there, because my focus would be the Jets, and then the rest of life gets in the way for watching more and more football. But yeah, so I'll catch some highlights. I'm like, you know what? He looked good. I was happy for him.
Yeah, and it's nice to see. What I'm hoping for is like that people will be willing to come to the Jets now that they see this and they go, hey, look, because look, here's some rookies and some young players who are they are tearing it up. You've got Brees Hall, you've got the wide receiver room, and I mean these guys are getting opportunities, and the last 2 weeks they looked really good. I mean, I think it was, in true Jets fashion, after they lost to San Francisco, everybody was looking to fire the coach, immediately. First game, which at that time, San Francisco looked like the best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
And they were really good. But the next 2 weeks, the Jets beat a kind of, I think, underrated Titans team and then, beat the pants off the Patriots like they should have.
I think if the Titans what's the QB's name on the
I'm not even going
Titans?
to learn it.
Yeah. If it wasn't him, I mean the kid's got some athleticism, right? He made a couple of that rookie mistake of the trying to flip the ball over. I think if it was another quarterback, it wouldn't have came down to that last pass.
Right,
And as a matter of fact, their last pass against the Titans, that's when the defense stepped up. They didn't look so good, the defense, if you ask me. They did okay. They did
right.
okay, but at that last play, that's when the secondary stepped. They didn't let them get into the end zone, block the pass. I don't know if you remember that, but that was a very good moment for the defense. And I think that prior to that, the whole game hinged that it was definitely an inexperienced quarterback. He's got some skills, but
Right.
you know, he's got to work on his head in the game. So I think in the future, I think he'll be pretty good.
Yeah. Let's talk about the
Don't quote me.
defense. I mean, for years the defense was really the team, right? And I would have liked to have seen a little more out of them in that Tennessee game. They did step up when they had to step up, but it was like, I thought there were some times they looked a little creaky, and especially in the San Francisco game.
Oh, looking at them both, right? The San Francisco game was just it was very, very disheartening and disappointing to watch, and they're not the same. And the reason being is they lost Huff, they lost, their defensive line is not the same.
Right,
That's it.
right,
And they banked on this whack job Reddick, right?
right. Well, we need to sign him. Whack job
We
of
do.
notwithstanding.
100%. But you know what? You cut it because it ticks me off. If you know you're coming over, everybody agreed on something, and then you don't show up. That always annoys me. Even with Revis, that was a big thing for me.
Right.
Who's not a
You're,
Revis fan?
you're
But
still
Revis
mad.
would
You're
hold
still
up
mad
like
about it.
what did he go? 3 games hold up. 3 games hold. It's almost like he was holding out more than he was playing. Right? That
Right.
used to always annoy me. You cut a deal, right? I cut a deal of business. I stick to it. I finish it up. Right? So that part is what bothers me. So yeah, that's why I said whack job because look, I mean, you're holding out for money. How many millions? What's it costing them so far? Right?
I think it's something like 800,000 a week.
It's crazy.
That's
Yeah.
kind of a lot of
So
money.
yeah, kind of.
And you know what? He'd be coming on to a team that's a needs him, and on the defensive line, and in a team that's showing some signs of being okay.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, the line wasn't. It's not what it used to be. They
Yeah.
definitely need him, but I think what the difference, part of the concept, I think that maybe Salah realized you could. I think maybe you could add that to your third point on implementation was he actually sent somebody on a stunt and a blitz. How
Right.
crazy was that?
I know. I saw that. I loved it.
Craziness. Like what a concept. These guys aren't getting any pressure first 2 games. What if we blitz? I was screaming the first 2 games. I wasn't to the level of cousin George screaming,
Right.
but I was
Right. This is
close.
this is our
I'm
this is
like,
our for those of you listening, this is our cousin who's a big Dallas Cowboys fan who had a stroke during the game and instead of going to the hospital, continued to watch the game and curse at the television, then went to the emergency room after the final after time. So that's the cousin
oh,
George reference. But
I, I
yeah,
had to make
it was nice to see them blitz. I mean,
yeah,
it was nice.
it was. Yep, it was, and I did have to make that reference, the distinction, because that was next level. We couldn't get to that level of yelling, but I'm screaming. How about a blitz? Craziness. How about a blitz? I'm like, okay, maybe the next hit they come out, maybe somebody's watching and said, hey, I got an idea. A little whisper, I got an idea. They're not expecting it. Let's blitz.
Let's blitz. Hey, I forgot about that.
Forgot that we could
First,
do
first
this.
we're blocking, then we're scoring, now we're blitzing. Wait a minute.
Something's is catching on here. So yeah, it was good. I mean, they blitz it. I just so the third, yes, I can, we can say, oh, it's Patriots, but it's still an NFL team. It's still got, you
Right.
still have to execute, and the defense just did an amazing job,
Well, and look,
and
here's the other big difference in the Jets defense is they're not out there 40 minutes a game
well,
like they
that's a
have been for
fact.
years. The concept of, hey, the offense scores some first downs and stays out on the field. And then I always think, if you're winning, you have a little more pep on defense when you're not 20 points behind. But it's just simply a matter of those guys are getting a little rest.
Yeah, and I think that's huge because yeah, in years past, well, I don't even want to calculate how many years passed, but the defense is always on the field,
Right.
right?
It's
I don't
three
care
and
how
out.
good you are. You got to burn up at some point. You got to get tired, worn down. Yeah. So blitzing, blocking, what are the
Scoring, offensive scoring.
boring scoring? Yes.
What do we do with this? No, this is good. I mean, I'm pretty hopeful about the team. And with Aaron Rodgers, I thought he looked a little creaky the first week. I didn't think he was moving around well, but I thought he kind of looked like the old Aaron Rodgers last week and really against the Titans too. If we can keep them healthy, if we can keep everybody healthy, maybe we can get somewhere.
You did. I lost a little bit from you just then. A couple of pauses.
It was
I
brilliant.
heard
The
the
part
old
I
Aaron
was
Rodgers.
yeah, what I was talking about was brilliant, and you missed it. So no, it was the. I thought the first
Send me
week I
the
was kind of
notes.
worried because he looked stiff, But I think that was just first game jitters, maybe even from Aaron Rodgers. But the last two
Yeah,
weeks
yeah.
he looked like the old Aaron Rodgers. He's having fun, taking chances, putting balls, throwing passes that to people who are not open, and somehow or another getting them the ball, which is the Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers magic.
Absolutely, the Aaron Rodgers magic. That's a perfect way to put it. And sticking again back to staying on offense. How about the two running backs? How pleasant.
Oh my
and
God.
exciting it is to watch this tandem.
And and it's sort of funny because like in NFL the last few years, it's been like, oh, running backs, oh, dime a dozen. We're not paying running backs. It's all about quarterbacks. And then, suddenly this is kind of the season for running backs again. And these
Yeah,
two guys, I
yeah,
mean, they're totally different, but they run, they catch, they block. I mean, these guys are old school running backs. It's great to watch them. I love Brees Hall,
yeah,
love him. It's so great.
yeah. Oh, and this kid Allen, I mean, he gets the ball. He's a bruiser. He is tough, and as
He's
being as
looking for
strong and
someone
big
to
as he is,
hit.
yes, yeah, and he's agile. Yeah, and he can catch. Holy moly!
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hats
So
off to Joe Douglas, right? I guess Joe found them somewhere. I don't know where those guys came from.
no, no, you know what?
We
I
should
don't
do
know.
some
Great
research
job though.
before
I
the
mean, yeah, yeah,
podcast.
and Joe Douglas, yeah, he's got a couple of screw ups, but I'll tell you what, he's reaping the benefits of a great draft,
Yeah.
right? A great draft that's still paying dividends now, with Gardner and Sauce, right? Amazing
Oh
draft
yeah.
that was, and now you have Allen, and what's it? Oh, well, since we're on the draft, McDonald,
Hmm.
right? The end, who who was being criticized a lot from ex-Jets, Bart Scott and Stacks, saying
Yeah.
that he's kind of small. Well, look at him. I mean, I always go for speed, right? So this guy's quick, he's fast. No, he's not a big bruiser, but he's getting back there.
Maybe, and I think just as important with Joe Douglas, and now this has become the Joe Douglas fan club, but are the projects he gave up on. I always thought, Mekhi Becton, I thought was he's such an athlete. He's such a seems like a great guy, but it was just like, oh, we just got to cut our losses on that. And I'm sure that was tough to do, but it made sense and he did it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sure it was tough to do because that was the prize of the draft for them, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? You know what always bugged me is, you can coach all kinds of things. You could teach. You can help with skills, but you can't coach heart, right? Either you have it or you don't. And that guy didn't have it.
And
You
he
know.
and he got and every time he got hurt every week. He's like, getting a donut. He got hurt.
Yep. Yep.
So I felt
It,
bad for the guy.
it, yeah. Well, I didn't only because you can't say you didn't feel bad. I get it. Yeah, I feel bad too. But his defensiveness and his comments all the time. It's like, I got an idea. Don't say anything. Just get on the field. You're big enough to wreck anybody,
Right.
right? Just do it.
Big strong guy.
You know. Yeah.
Now I guess if it's going to be a Jets podcast, I think they won't let us be in a Jets podcast unless we talk about Nathaniel Hackett and maybe we have to say bad things about him. But he did, the last 2 years, it's been like, why does he even come to the game? It's going to be a run. It's going to be a thing. He had the same pattern every thing. It sort of looked like he was designing games for a 3-and-out. But is it time to give Nathaniel Hackett credit? Does he just have a better team that he can put
Listen,
in better plays? Or, I mean, how much credit does he get?
that's we wanted him to go since stepping onto the, it's like, all right, this guy's got to go. It's never stopped, right? So now that Aaron's actually playing, it's one of those. It's okay. Well, he's in a no-win situation.
Right. Right.
Done.
Because now
So it
he's
doesn't
getting
matter.
he's
Yeah, if they win the game, it's because Rodgers did it. If they lose the game, it's because he doesn't know how to call a game, right? So, so the guy's he's in a no-win. I don't care what happens. He can't win.
he is in a tough spot. I hope he's thick-skinned. Yeah, he's never gonna. You know what? I sort of part of me feels bad for him too. Because he's never going to get any credit. But I think over the last couple of years he was given the responsibility of drawing up offensive plays with no offensive line, which is a
Well,
little tricky even for the
it's
big brain
yeah,
of
it's a little
Nathaniel
tricky,
Hackett.
and that's the beauty of football, right? The ultimate team sport. There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle,
Right.
you know. So,
But we
but
got to find
still,
somebody to blame. when it doesn't go right.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, New Yorkers and Jet fans are very good at that. Because if the Jets win the Super Bowls, how come you didn't win by more? You know, right?
I bet the
What's the
over.
matter with
Why didn't you?
it's like winning the lottery and complaining about the taxes, right?
I don't know. Maybe this season will cheer up Jets fans. I don't want to. I guess in true Jets fans fashion, I did check what hotel rooms cost in New Orleans, just to
Uh,
just so I have the information.
that's right. I didn't respond to that text. I cracked up. And I was probably about to respond, and then somebody snapped their fingers and took my attention away. But I cracked up when you said that. Because if you
So yeah,
listen to WFA, if you listen to the fan, half the jet calls already have them. They're already booking it.
that's it.
So
They're going all the way. Now you know what? Not to be over enthusiastic Jets fan, but there is a world where we could win the division.
I
You
think
know,
there is a world.
the Patriots stink. The Dolphins will either this new quarterback will either come out of nowhere and be fantastic, or they'll be terrible. And the Bills, we'll see what Bills show up when we play them.
That's yeah. What bills show up? You're right. And back to quoting my wife when you talk like that. Don't say it. Don't ever say it. During the game, she's telling me, "Stop saying it. Don't jinx it." So yeah, we can't talk about divisions. Don't say it. Uh,
Oh
you
my
put the
God.
Zets on them. You get the
Exactly.
Maloik, and then you're out.
That's
You,
it.
you say it, you get the Maloik, you're done.
All right, we're almost done. Let's look ahead to next week. The
All right.
Minnesota
Yeah.
Vikings, which I'm confused by the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, I'm not that
Mhm.
bright to begin with, but I'm very confused by them. What do you think of
Sure.
the Vikes?
And we've got a few things that we could have touched on today. We're running out of time, but
Oh,
we
you
just
have
got to
more
make some
topics?
notes. Yeah, so we've got some more topics. Maybe we'll
Let's hear
make for
it.
note for last week. We've got to talk about Garrett Wilson, right?
Oh yeah, we know we definitely do before he breaks his leg.
So and before yeah, before we wrap up,
Yeah.
okay, best quote of the game.
Yes.
Okay. Best quote of the game, Al Michaels.
Yeah.
Al Michaels says, the Jets history, the fans' history with the Jets, we don't need to talk about that because they know it. It's like hitting them over the head with a sledgehammer. Did you hear that quote from
I
Al
did
Michaels?
not.
I I cracked up. I said, best quote of the game.
Oh my God.
Talk about the history and hit him over the head with a sledgehammer.
And it's true. Look,
Go
we're long,
go back.
the,
Yeah.
the first name for Jets fans is always long suffering Jets fans. That's it.
Yes. So best quote of the game and then best play of the game.
Yeah. Well, and
Lazard
can I add a quote to your
unraveling
quote?
his shirt.
Can I add a quote to your
Yeah,
quote list? Whoever
absolutely.
does now, it was also Al Michaels who said, "Huh, looks like Nathaniel Hackett can call plays all of a sudden."
Yes. 100%. Because when he said that, my son Jamie, and no one knows, but Jamie's got a vision problem, so he has to stand with one eye up on probably 3 inches from the TV. It's a whole thing. He's got to be very, very close. And then when Michael said that, he just did the slow turnaround and stared at me for 2 seconds. I just cracked up.
Even he won't give Nathaniel Hackett any credit.
No, no, no. Still no. Yeah. So back to the best play, right? The
Oh yeah,
Lazard play, the unraveling of the fabric going in.
5 yards
Love it.
of
I was
fabric.
like, that's the best play of the game. He's pulling his shirt. He's still going. Loved it.
You know what? And I think that kind of goes back to something you said before. That shows some heart to me.
Uh,
I'm going to give up the shirt. I'm going to get into the end zone no matter what. I'll get naked if I have to get there. If I have to get there.
he would have made it, but he ripped my shirt.
That's right. My shirt. Come on. That was a
Right.
great play. I just thought that was a game that I don't know about you. I've been waiting years for that game.
Yes, 100%. That's why we were just in amazement, and I was falling asleep like I'm like falling asleep. I think it was like 6 minutes to go. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm in and out. I'm in and out. Jamie turns around, looks at me, and he says, you're hanging in there. He points at me. It's like, okay. He would not let me fall asleep. So yes, it was pleasant to watch. And I was forced to finish the game with one eye closed.
But
Uh,
you deserved it. You deserved that's the game you deserved after all these years.
that's right. That's right.
That's right. All right. What do you
Uh,
think of the Vikes next week?
well, I think it's going to be a tough game.
I think so too.
Yes, I think it's going to be a very tough game. Yeah, I have to. I haven't done a lot looking at them. I just know I said, all right, just looking at the schedule, just look at the way they just played. I go, the D has to step up. The defense has to withstand just kind of like the look between Saleh and Rogers at the end, right? That whole exchange they had, that was about the two-score lead from they both say it was, right?
Right.
Even though it was a very awkward moment to see,
Right.
right? It's like, oh, we've got problems in the house there. So but it was about the two-score lead, like however it was delivered. So that's the key to this next game. Same thing, there's got to be a two-score lead, otherwise it's going to fall apart.
Yeah, I agree, and I think kind of in the looking at all the NFL teams, I sort of put the Vikings at the same tier where I want the Jets to be. It's not
Yeah,
like wow they're like the Chiefs or the Ravens or the Eagles like way up there, but in that next tier of competitive teams, I
yeah,
put the Vikings there, and that's where I want the Jets to be. And so I think it's a big game for the Jets because they got to see if hey, are you guys a real team or not?
yeah. Well, on the Viking side, the Jets are the team that a game that they're supposed to win, right? We just talked about that.
They're supposed to win.
They're supposed to win, and now for the Jet side, this is the game. This is the game where it's like, hey, the good teams are going to push that envelope and win that game,
Yeah.
right? So they're not supposed to win it, but this is the ones they need to win.
Right. Because that's not the Patriots. It's not another week against the Patriots. It's a week against
Right.
a decent, are they great? No. Is it a decent football team? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes the best thing for a team or even an individual sport is
Don't you
when you
say
get
it.
to
Don't you say it.
say it.
Go ahead, say it.
All right, is to have a laydown where you can beat up an opponent, right? To have that laydown because it's a confidence builder, right? So
Okay.
so the Patriots was the confidence builder. So if for me playing racquetball back in the day, right? I joined into this league and then I jump into a tournament. I'm like, I got creamed. And then I couldn't even play after that, right? And then next thing you know, I'm playing somebody at the club, and I'm like, it was just they're not good, and it was the best thing you would ever have. Pinch up. I'm playing I'm champion. And then the few matches after that, it was almost like I got fixed, right? Because it's just
Well,
the confidence you needed, and you got and those tough shots you were making them because the opponent was inferior, but it helps.
but it
I don't
helps.
know. That's kind of a wacky analogy, but still,
You know what? I'm gonna take it and run with it because I really think can week 4 be a must-win game? I think this is pretty close to a must-win game if the Jets are going to
so
be serious.
if they're going to be serious, absolutely, yep.
Yeah.
Um, so okay, yeah, and I probably most people would have picked best play of the game as Garrett Wilson's touchdown pass. That little juke move to get over to the end zone was a very skilled move.
If he had
I don't
torn
know if
his
you remember
shirt,
that.
then maybe it would have been played. I think.
That's it, yeah. But that just doesn't compare to running and unthreading. So the unraveling of the fabric.
All right, let's wrap this up. So
All right, you
everybody,
got
if
it.
you're watching this on YouTube, hit a like, hit a subscribe. Um, you can send us an email and tell us how dumb we are. And it's at notanotherjetspodcast@gmail.com. Yeah, that's our email. Subscribe. We're on all the podcast platforms. Listen, subscribe, tell your friends. That's it. That's it for not the first inaugural episode of Not Another Jets podcast. That's it for me. Say goodbye, Gino.
It's been a pleasure, cousin Vinny. I'll talk to you soon.
See you later. Bye,
And everybody
everybody.
else out there. Bye bye.